Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Guess what I got to tell y'all? Guess what I have to tell you? America can't wait for Donald Trump to get in office January 21st. And guess who's saying that? It ain't me. It's liberals in the state of California. I guess wildfires would do that to you, huh? You see how bad it is? I'm about to show you even more next on the Stephen A. Smith Show. What's up, everybody? Welcome to this latest edition of the Stephen A. Smith Show, coming at you over the digital airwaves of YouTube and, of course, iHeartRadio. As always, I'd like to take a moment to thank and show gratitude to my subscribers. We've now eclipsed over 1 million subscribers. Actually, we're approaching 1,030,000 subscribers, which means we picked up over 30,000 subscribers over the last 5 days or so. Can't thank y'all enough for the love and support, especially the love and support you show me over the digital airways of YouTube and, of course, iHeartRadio, where there's been millions of downloads over the last few months as you continue to help this show grow and support this show. I can't thank y'all enough. Keep the love coming, and I'm going to keep on coming. To continue to like and follow the show, just click the bell, and YouTube will be notified of all of our newest content, and you can consider yourself the latest member of the Stephen A. Smith Show family. And while you're doing that, make sure to pick up a copy of my New York Times bestselling book, Straight Shooter, a memoir of second chances and first takes, now in paperback. Just go to straightshooterbook.com. Once again, that's straightshooterbook.com to get yourself a copy of my New York Times best-selling book. I got a lot of stuff to get into, but everything pales in comparison to what I'm about to touch on, okay? And we've got to get started here. We've got to get started with the sad news out of Southern California and the wildfires that have devastated the region. At least 10 people are dead this week, and more than 10,000 structures have been destroyed by fires, fueled by unprecedented wind blowing through several counties. Whole neighborhoods have been devastated by the coastal Palisades fire, and officials say this could be the costliest fire in U.S. history. All this while tens of thousands of residents have been forced to evacuate their homes, and many have already lost their houses altogether. Some high-profile names who have lost their homes include actor Billy Crystal, head coach for the Los Angeles Lakers, Coach J.J. Redick, star of Young and the Restless soap opera, player Victor Newman, the one and only Eric Braeden, who I spoke to yesterday as well. Meanwhile, firefighting teams are expecting more wind and dry conditions to continue to complicate efforts into next week. Police have detained a suspect allegedly responsible for starting one of the fires raging in Los Angeles, a homeless man in his 30s. But the biggest concern coming out of the fires are the questions around the city's fire budget. Records show the fire budget for this fiscal year was cut by more than $17.5 million. Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass signed a budget 7 months ago that went from $837 million to $819 million. However, the city council in November approved a 4-year, $203 million contract with the firefighters union to help boost wages and health benefits for staff, drawing from the budget's general fund. Mayor Bass was away in Ghana when the fire started. Take a look at this video from earlier this week when she was confronted by a reporter coming off a plane as she returned.
Do you owe citizens an apology for being absent while their homes were burning? Do you regret cutting the fire department budget by millions of dollars, Madam Mayor? Have you nothing to say today? Have you absolutely nothing to say to the citizens today? Elon Musk says that you're utterly incompetent. Are you considering your position? Madam Mayor, have you absolutely nothing to say to the citizens today who are dealing with this disaster? No apology for them? Do you think you should have been visiting Ghana while this was unfolding back home?
That is beyond bad. That is utterly pathetic. You couldn't say not at this time? I'll have answers for you later. I just got back in. Once I huddle with my staff, once I huddle with my cabinet, we will be back and we will speak to the citizens of Los Angeles and the state of California. You couldn't do that? Couldn't do that? You see, this is the kind of stuff that annoys the living hell out of me. Let me be very, very clear. Karen Bass is responsible for the city of Los Angeles, not Los Angeles County. She doesn't have to answer for those folks. Okay, and she's certainly not responsible for the wildfire that has engulfed the surrounding areas in Pacific Palisades, Malibu, etc. We get that part. That's a natural disaster. That's not on her. What is on her is the apparent lack of a plan, the incompetence, the dereliction of duty because you knew 2 days in advance that the fires were coming, although you didn't know how severe it would be, and you decided to depart for Ghana. What the hell is going on in Ghana that you had to be gone when you knew that fires could engulf the city, if not the state? Where were you? Why were you there? What purpose did that serve to the citizens that you were elected to govern over? So that's one thing when it comes to her. The other thing is Governor Gavin Newsom. It's a local issue. It's not really a state issue. Did you really try to pass the buck to local authorities instead of you? Did you try to do that? It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. And just to get into somewhat of a history lesson, did you know that Donald Trump wanted to pump water from Canada into California when he was the president of the United States from 2017 to 2021, and Gavin Newsom resisted? Did you know that? Did you know that Donald Trump had been speaking about the potential of such a disaster taking place and was utterly ignored? I've got two quotes I'd like to show you from Donald Trump right now. Here's the first one. Take a look at this. The governor of California, Gavin Newsom, has done a terrible job of forest management. I told him from the first day we met that he must clean his forest floors regardless of what his bosses, the environmentalists, demand of him. Must also do burns and cut fire stoppers. Every year as the fires rage and California burns, it is the same thing. And then he comes to the federal government for dollars, for help. No more. Get your act together, Governor. You don't see close to the level of burn in other states. That was Donald Trump, President Donald Trump, on X/Twitter in 2019. Fast forward, nearly 6 years later, let's look at what Donald Trump had to say just a couple of days ago. Governor Gavin Newsom refused to sign a water restoration declaration put before him that would have allowed millions of gallons of water from excess rain and snow melt from the north to flow daily into many parts of California, including the areas that are currently burning in a virtually apocalyptic way. He wanted to protect an essentially worthless fish called a smelt by giving it less water. It didn't work, but didn't care about the people of California. Now the ultimate price is being paid. I will demand that this incompetent governor allow beautiful, clean, fresh water to flow into California. He is the blame for this. On top of it all, no water for fire hydrants. Not firefighting planes, a true disaster. So firefighting planes, fire hydrants, non-existent. Water and fire hydrants, non-existent. We saw firefighters standing outside looking at homes burning. And when they were asked why they weren't doing anything, they said, we put the hose, connected it to the fire hydrants, we turned it on, and no water came out. No water was available. This in a state that's collected nearly $221 billion in taxpayer revenue, the highest of any state in the union. You got 9 states in the United States of America, including New York, who've shelled out in excess of $1 billion for the migrant crisis. This is according to my research. Yet California led the country with expenses of nearly $31 billion to take care of illegal immigrants and their children, according to the FAIR study. We're talking about $159 million allocated by the federal government to the state of California through FEMA, funding to provide humanitarian services to non-citizen migrants. You're talking about California being a sanctuary state since 2017. You're talking about California recently providing $4 billion per year in funding to extend taxpayer-funded health care to an additional 700,000 undocumented immigrants, scaling those costs up to 1.9 million estimated total in California, results in rough total cost of $11 billion a year. The state having cut, delayed, or shifted $47 billion to balance the budget in the year 2024 alone. California is talking about cutting services or raising taxes even more so than the 14.4% that they put on you right now. And you're trying to tell me you don't have any water? No water? My personal belief is that the political career of Gavin Newsom is in peril if not flat out over. His presidential aspirations have been eviscerated. There is no way he overcomes this. No way. And in regards to Karen Bass, to say nothing, you can come and speak out, but that video will live in infamy. You had absolutely nothing to say, flying all the way from Ghana, about a 15-hour flight to Los Angeles, and you're telling me you couldn't answer a reporter's question? No comment, we'll talk later, or let me huddle with my staff and we'll get back to you. You couldn't even think to say that? Nobody on your staff prepared you for what has been transpiring in California? Nobody gave you a warning, a heads up? You didn't have anything to say? Ladies and gentlemen, I'll never say that California is going to turn red. But I guess if something was blue and transitioned into red, I guess the color's purple or something like that. I don't know. Whatever the hell the color is, that's where it's going to get aimed towards. That's just the way it's going to be. But that's enough from me. I want to get to my man, Kevin Frazier, right now. Okay? Because this man right here, Kevin Frazier, he'll be up next, works for Entertainment Tonight, but he's covering the fires. He's a resident of the city of Los Angeles. He knows what the hell he's talking about. You see him daily hosting Entertainment Tonight. He has details about what's transpiring and what's being said and what's going on in the midst of these wildfires. We'll be right back with him in a moment. All right, everybody, please lend me your ears because I've got an important announcement to make. The NFL playoffs are here. College football is reaching its pinnacle, and we're right in the middle of the NBA season. So with all that action happening, the Stephen A. Smith Show wants to make sure you take advantage of it all. That's why we have partnered with PrizePicks, the best place to get real money action while watching your favorite sports. You see, with PrizePicks, you pick two or more of your favorite players, and then you simply select more or less on their projected stats for the game. Choose Bo Nix's rushing yards, Kyrie's assist, and Adam Fox's total time on the ice, all in the same entry. It takes just 60 seconds to make your picks, and then you sit back and watch. So download the app today and use code SAS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, download the app and use code SAS to get $50 instantly after your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, run your game. Now, let's look at my winning picks. Today, I'm selecting from Saturday night's wild card game between the Steelers and Ravens in Baltimore. First up, we have Baltimore Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson, more or less than 218.5 yards passing. It's Lamar Jackson, it's the Baltimore Ravens, and I don't like the way the Pittsburgh Steelers look. I'm going with more, much to my depressive state. Next up, Ravens running back Derrick Henry, more or less than 99.5 yards on the ground. I got to go with more on that, too. Why shouldn't I? He's Derrick Henry, Mr. 1,900-plus yard rusher this year. The man's a man amongst boys, and I was there a few weeks ago in Baltimore watching him run all over the Steelers then. Why should I believe it's going to be anything different now? I got to go with more. Next up, we've got Steelers quarterback Russell Wilson going more or less than 200.5 yards passing. With this one, I'm still going to pick more, but barely. I don't expect a good game from Russell Wilson. I don't know if George Pickens is invested. Who knows what the hell's going to happen? I'm praying I'm wrong because I want my Steelers to win. I just don't see it happening. It is what it is. But I'm going to say he's going to throw for more than 200 yards. Okay, I'm going to say that much, all right? Because I don't know how well they're going to be able to run the football against Baltimore. They're going to have to throw it. Finally, Steelers receiver George Pickens, more or less than 51.5 yards. I'll go with more as well, but only because it's 51.5 yards. I mean, show a damn pulse. Show up, George Pickens. I mean, just ball. Do what you got to do. You're the primary weapon for Russell Wilson. He needs you, bro. He needs you. Got to show up and get it done. I'm going to go with more on this one as well. PrizePicks, I love to say more. I hate saying less because when you say less, damn it, that don't vibe with PrizePicks, who wants to put more money in all of our pockets. I'm going with more across the board. Joining me now is a longtime LA resident and friend of the program, one of my best friends in the world. You see him daily as the host of Entertainment Tonight. Please welcome back to the show, the one and only Kevin Frazier. First of all, Kevin Frazier, how are you? How are you and your family?
We are safe and we are sound, but there are so many families who are suffering, Stephen. I just came back from the fires, and TV does not really show you the depths of the devastation. And this isn't something that's going to be solved in a year or 3 years. It looks like an atomic bomb went off in the Palisades area, in Altadena. These places are destroyed, and these are folks who will need help for 5, 7 years to come as they all try to rebuild.
Crystallize for us the kind of damage that you've witnessed with your own 2 eyes and what people are saying to you about the damage they've witnessed.
Sure. What you see is literally standing in a neighborhood, and you can see all the way across the neighborhood because every house is gone. And when I say every house is gone, the houses are ashes. They have burned to the ground. And imagine this, Steve, we arrived there and we are starting to shoot stand-ups. And by the time we're done stand-ups, 2 more houses have burned down. The fires were active. They were never under control while we were there. And so it is devastating to see that. And then it's devastating to see people return to their home, like your good friend, Eric Braden. I can't put into words watching the tears roll down his face as he looked at his home of over 35, 40 years. It was ashes. And today, and I know you were going to his son's premiere if it had happened here in LA, but it's not now because of the fires. But he was pointing out the room where his son wrote most of his new movie.
Yeah.
And it's just tears just flowed as he thought about all that had been built.
To give a personal insight, you know, because I don't think a lot of people realize how close he and I are. We're very close. To the point that you saw that the house had burned down before he was notified. And you called me to get in touch with his son so his son can give him the information so he didn't just go in there blind and all of a sudden see what he didn't think he would see, which is the house being burnt down. And he was devastated, to say the least. And his son is flying back from London. It was flying back from London last night as we speak. But go ahead, Kev. Go ahead.
Steve, I was going to say that he didn't, you know, Eric's a tough old guy. He's been through everything, through World War II and the rebuilding of his homeland in Germany. He's been through cancer and so many other things. So I don't think he thought that it would hit him like it did. And he said to me, he said, now I understand. I understand what people are going through when they come to their house and everything is gone. Because he didn't take that much with him. He didn't think the fires were going to jump the canyon and come to his house. So everything is gone.
What are people in Los Angeles saying now? Are they saying this is a natural disaster? Are they pointing the finger, as I am, at the politicians throughout the state of California? That's from Gavin Newsom on down to Mayor Karen Bass and others. It is an absolute travesty in the state, obviously in Los Angeles and the surrounding areas, Pacific Palisades, Malibu, etc. What are they saying about their elected officials at this particular moment in time? And be specific as to what they're saying and why they're saying it.
Okay, number one, people are scared. They're terrified because there has never been anything like this before. And what happened the first day was basically a hurricane of fire. And no one can prepare for that. No one can be ready for that. And you understand. But in the days coming, as more fires popped up and people began to question, how are these fires just popping up? It can't just be natural. And as they've seen with the fire out in Calabasas, they believe it was arson. People are frustrated because the firefighters literally could not react fast enough to save homes. Literally, they would come to one house, it's on fire. They try to stop it, they can't. They've got to move on to the next house. And people are like, why weren't the city and even the state more prepared for this? Now, fingers were pointed immediately at Karen Bass. She was out of town. There was that interview where she was coming home with a reporter from Sky News who was asking her some very pointed questions. There is no way Karen Bass could have done anything, and that's the video of the interview. There's no way she could have done anything about that hurricane that happened, those 100-mile-an-hour winds. There is nothing she could have done about that.
She could have spoken better about it, though. She could have had some answers.
This is the one thing. People now need help. They don't know where they're going. They don't know where their kids are going to school. They don't know where they're going to live. There was already a housing shortage in Los Angeles. Where are these people going to go? The people in Altadena, in the other fire, regular folks who don't have that celebrity money, where are they going to go? They elected officials to help them take care of this situation. And I think that the concern is that there hasn't been a real direction laid of what is next. How can we help? Well, I saw Gavin Newsom yesterday. I saw him. I ran into him and ran out and jumped out of the car to talk to him. And he said, I can't talk. I'm on the phone with the president. And I understand that, but they have to fix this situation. They have to take care of these people, the people who had the faith to vote you in. Now you must take care of your constituents.
Well, Kev, here's my issue. You didn't elaborate extensively on firefighters saying there was no water. How do you not have enough water in the state of California? I'm wondering about that. And before we go further, I want to show you this quote that was put out by former President Donald Trump, soon to be president again, come January 21st with his inauguration. But in 2019, he put this quote on X/Twitter, quote, "The governor of California, Gavin Newsom, has done a terrible job of forest management. I told him from the first day we met that he must clean his forest floors, regardless of what his bosses, the environmentalists, demand of him. Must also do burns and cut fire stoppers. Every year as the fires rage and California burns, it is the same thing. And then he comes to the federal government for help, meaning dollars. No more. Get your act together, Governor. You don't see close to the level of burn in other states." That was Donald Trump. That was in 2019, Kevin. I want to play this quote for you right here. I want to show you this quote, rather, because it's incredibly important. I'm trying to find it here. I apologize. I can't find it. I will in a second. But I wanted to know your thoughts. You saw it. There it is. There it is right there.
Yeah, there it is.
Governor Gavin Newsom refused to sign the water restoration declaration put before him that would have allowed millions of gallons of water from excess rain and snow melt from the north to flow daily into many parts of California, including, the areas that are currently burning in a virtually apocalyptic way. He wanted to protect an essentially worthless fish called a smelt by giving it less water. It didn't work, but didn't care about the people of California. Now the ultimate price is being paid. I will demand that this incompetent governor allow beautiful, clean, fresh water to flow into California. He is to blame for this. On top of it all, no water for fire hydrants, not firefighting planes. A true disaster. And the only comeback that Gavin Newsom had on Anderson Cooper, on CNN with Anderson Cooper a couple of days ago was, there are things that I want to say, but I can't, but it's a shame that he would politicize this. That's all the comeback that Gavin Newsom had. Go ahead, Kevin. Floor is yours.
Steve, let me say this, okay? There are some points that are valid about California being prepared for the fire season or for fires each and every year. I will say again, the fire that burned down Palisades was a once-in-a-lifetime anomaly of 100-mile-an-hour winds and fire pushing it through a neighborhood. Now, that being said, once it starts and once it happens, you have to call in the cavalry. It was one night, basically, where the entire Palisades burned down, they were gone. But there has to be a plan in place so that this doesn't happen again. We know we're in an area where these Santa Ana winds come through each and every year. And it was so heartbreaking to see the fires just jumping from house to house to house. And the next day, while the fires were still burning, firefighters were there from all over the state. They did come and they came from all over the state, but it was too late. It was too late. People's houses were gone. The California economy is one of the biggest in the world.
That's right.
If you put it up against other countries, you could put it up against other countries, it would be ranked very highly. But the problem is that the little things are falling through the cracks. And this is one of those things that fell through the cracks and turned into Armageddon. And now the rebuild and what California is going to lose is what really worries me.
Well, it should worry you. You got no money. I'm looking at this right here, Kevin. 17,000 acres have been burned, okay?
It's more than that now, Steve. It's 20 acres. It's more than Manhattan.
20.
It's
20
more
acres.
than Manhattan.
20 acres.
Imagine all of Manhattan burning.
That's right. Number two, officials ordered 130,000 to evacuate. That number's probably larger now, okay?
It's much larger.
It's much larger than that now. More than 420,000 people are estimated to be without power. That's roughly the population of Minneapolis, the largest city in Minnesota. One estimate puts damage and economic losses at anywhere from 52 to 57 billion, but that was yesterday. It could be more today,
It's
Kevin.
over 60.
It's over 60 now.
60 billion. It's over $60 billion. Stephen, let's not get this twisted. This is a shit show. It is an incredible nightmare of epic proportions. And Eric Braeden said it best when he said, this looks like Germany after World War II.
Wow.
And now you have to rebuild in areas where some people don't even have insurance anymore, where their fire insurance was taken away.
And why was their fire insurance taken away? Why did the insurance company take their fire insurance away, Kevin?
Listen, this is more of, and let's understand something, whether it's the insurance industry as a whole. The insurance industry as a whole has been taking advantage of Americans for a long time. And they drop people's fire insurance, and by dropping their fire insurance, because they were like, oh, you're in Pacific Palisades, you're never going to burn, and we're going to drop your insurance. And people said, okay, well, we have to gamble. They gambled, and now look at, they're lost. These are multi-million-dollar homes. And some of these homes are legacy homes with families that have kept them forever. And it's people's nest egg and how they're going to live their life. And now it's gone. So I say to Gavin Newsom, I say to Karen Bass, you now have to step up. And you have to show leadership. Because I don't think, and I voted for Karen Bass. I was excited for her to be the mayor of Los Angeles. And now I want to see her be the leader that we expect her to be. And being that leader means you are going to have to take care of some people who are in dire straits.
You are a California resident, a homeowner. I have a place in California. I just rent it. I can get rid of it. It's on a month-to-month basis, to be specific. But let me throw this out at you, my brother. Fiscal year 2023, this is the state of California, collected a total of $220.59 billion US dollars in tax revenue, the highest of any state. You got 19 different states in America who've shelled out in excess of $1 billion for the migrant crisis. California led the country with expenses of nearly $31 billion to take care of illegal immigrants and their children, according to the FAIR study. So I'm looking at that. I'm looking at the $159 million allocated to the state of California by FEMA. I'm looking at the $4 billion a year in funding California recently received to extend taxpayer-funded health care to an additional 700,000 undocumented immigrants. Then I'm thinking about Donald Trump coming into office as the president-elect and the things he remembers that Gavin Newsom said about him, the things he pointed out about the state that Gavin Newsom wouldn't listen to. And as a result, he's in this kind of quandary, this quagmire. What do you think is going to happen to the state of California based on those facts that I just gave you?
Well, Stephen, if all of those, if Donald Trump really imposes his immigration initiatives, if he starts to round up people, there's going to be no one here to really help to rebuild this city.
Fair.
Because understand that the Latino population, because we are in Mexico, basically, the Latino population fuels this city. And don't get it twisted. And so that's a problem. Now, the immigration status of people and fixing the immigration laws, that is something that needs to be worked on, but it needs to be worked on in a collective way. California is screwed right now. You're right. There's an imbalance. And that's up to the governor and the mayor to fix it. One of the things that people expected from Karen Bass is to fix the homeless situation. It's a nightmare in LA. And it is believed.
And by the way, the homeless population is, according to statistics, is responsible for more than 50% of the fires in California.
And that is true. And that is true. And that is why we expected the mayor to start to fix that. And the same problems that you're having in San Francisco, you're having in Los Angeles. There is no doubt about it. But we expect them to fix them. That's why they're elected. And I think that now they are teetering on the edge of a recall. I would not be surprised if there was not a recall for Karen Bass.
There's already been a recall for Gavin Newsom. He survived it. He survived it. I think he's got a little less than 2 years left in office, of course, approximately 22 months to go for him. But you expect there to be a recall for Mayor Karen Bass after this?
I believe that there could be a recall. And I also think that, this damages Gavin Newsom's presidential aspirations.
Without question.
They have a chance to fix this. And I was one of the people who believed that Gavin Newsom would make a fantastic Democratic nominee for the presidency. Yeah. I think that he is smart. He is a great orator. He has compassion. He really does believe in his constituents, and the way he governs is the way I would want someone to govern.
Kev,
but now you got to fix some things.
You're my brother. You know I love you. And you know we talk a lot. We disagree.
Yep.
I think he's done. After this, I think he's done. Kevin, you cannot look at it. This is a natural disaster, I get. But it was exacerbated by clear incompetence or dereliction of duty, one of the two. When you combine that with it being a homeless individual that has been accused of stoking this fire, when you consider
starting the fire in Calabasas,
when you consider the fact that it's a homeless issue that has now come to the forefront, along with a migrant issue to some degree, because you're talking about money and funds and what's lacking and how that compromised what the firefighters could do. I don't know how you get over this, Kev. I don't.
Okay. Well, hold on, Steve. Hold on. I think there's a couple of things to clarify.
Sure.
Number one is that LA City is one thing, LA County is another thing. LA County is where a lot of these fires have happened. Not in LA City, but LA County. And so that is outside of Mayor Karen Bass's jurisdiction.
Fair.
She is LA City. So we give her that, and we give her grace there. Also, we have to understand that the main fire that burned everything down was a once-in-a-lifetime anomaly. That being said, and also I think we need to point out that the budget that was cut for the fire department was administrative jobs, but money was also moved around. They did not lose any firefighters. All that being said, the system is archaic. There wasn't enough water, and there weren't enough firefighters on the ground, and at one point it was too dangerous for those firefighters to be there. When everything really, really burned down, the winds were just too chaotic. Planes could not get up in the air, and that's why you saw it spread so quickly. But my big problem is when you are the mayor, come back with a plan. Come back and reassure me, because you know what? You're the parent. Be the parent. Be the adult in the room and show me that you have a plan and that we, your constituents, will be cared for. That's what I want to hear. I haven't heard that yet. I've heard a bunch of talk, but I haven't heard a plan. And I haven't heard saying that we're going, in Hawaii, they opened up some of the resorts for the people that were affected by the fires there so that they had somewhere to go immediately because people were suffering. They needed a place to go. Where are you sending the people into LA?
Well,
you can't just send them to a random gym. You can't send them to a random gym.
Let me stop you there. Let me stop you there, Kevin. Last question.
Okay. Yep.
You have poor people. We know that, as unfortunate as it is for those who are affluent that have suffered losing their homes in the fires, we know they have the means to cover themselves. Some. We know they have the means to cover themselves. Poor people do not. Their homes have been burned. They've been displaced. And in a city like Los Angeles, in a state like California that's hemorrhaging money, they don't have much. And somehow, some way, all of this is true when you've collected over nearly $221 billion in tax revenue, the highest of any state in this country. Kev, I don't even know what to say anymore about these elected officials in California. To me, the first order of business is how you gonna find someplace? You just talked about the home shortage, all right, in California. Where the hell are you gonna take these people? What are you gonna do?
But Steve, that's what I'm talking about. That's leadership. That's when you are going to, whether it's hotels and Airbnb right now is giving people free stays, but there are kids who are going to be out of school. They've lost everything. They don't have a place to go. Where are you sending all these people? Where are they going to stay? And that's why I mentioned what happened in Hawaii, in Lahaina. They literally took some of the resorts and said, we're moving people into these resorts.
Got it.
And whether it's you start building, whether you put people in mobile homes or whatever, you need to figure this out. And I need to hear a plan from leadership. Also, I just want to mention this because I think it's important to say, listen, in California, you pay a lot of taxes.
Hell yes.
And you know what? The people in Palisades, they paid a lot of damn taxes. That's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out, because those people who have been paying that boatload of taxes, millions of dollars into the system, are now the neediest in the state.
And by the way, they're the ones that put Gavin Newsom and people like Karen Bass in office.
100%. That is a power source for the Democratic Party. That Palisades area where you can gather money.
So now you realize you have Democrats who helped put them in office screaming about their level of incompetence and neglect and clamoring for Donald Trump to be back in office. You realize that, right?
I don't know if they're clamoring for Donald Trump to be back in office.
Right
they're
now.
clamoring for help.
Right now, for that.
No. Because listen, Steve, Donald Trump is going to go and round up folks once he starts this immigration sweep. Who the hell's going to build the houses? Who's going to build the houses? Who's going to help with the construction? The people who are here that do the mountain share of the labor in this city.
Are you ready for this?
Are Latino.
Do you want my answer?
Latino.
Do you want my answer?
Sure. I want to hear your answer.
He's going to back up off of all of that because it's going to make him look good that he utilized them to come to the rescue for the second largest state in the union in hopes that it will turn it red from blue. He's going to put, and if he pulls that off, the citizens of California are going to remember that, and they're going to look at the Democratic leadership and say, we've given y'all enough money and enough time. That's what I think is going to happen. I'm not wishing for it. I don't care about it. But it is politics right now. It is politics right now. That's why you clamoring for leadership. You ain't clamoring for leadership from the fire chief. You ain't clamoring for the head of the water department. You ain't clamoring for it for anybody else. You're looking at the politicians, and you're saying we need leadership from them. You're a California resident. Ain't that what you're looking for?
Yes. Yeah. Listen, she got my vote, and she damn sure has my money. Yes. I live in the city. Yes. She has my money. Yes. Gavin has my money. So I feel like I have a right to call them out and say, what the hell are you going to do? And I need a plan. And that's why it bothered me yesterday when I got out of my car and I said, hey, Mr. Governor, can we talk to you for a second?
And he said he couldn't talk.
I'm on the phone with the president. But that's a line he seemed to have told somebody else,
and
too.
They were lying. When they asked, they said, I want to hear the call. The woman said, I want to hear the call. I want to hear the call. Yeah. And he says, I'm trying to get him on the phone right now. Well, you said you had him on the phone, and then you said, I'm trying to get him on the phone.
Stephen, I will wrap this up by saying this.
Let's wrap this up. Go ahead.
Nothing will make me happier than Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass pulling it together and taking care of these people and righting the ship in Los Angeles and in the state of California.
I hope you're right.
But if not, then they got to go.
They got to go. You know what? They got to go. I don't give a damn if they do. After what I've seen last few days, they got to go. I'm done. I'm done, Kevin. I'm done.
Sometimes there are natural disasters you can't do a damn thing about. When a hurricane hits your house down in Florida, what can you do? Are you yelling at the politicians to
I'm
stand
not-
out there and stop the winds?
Kev, I'm not going off about the fires. The fires is not their fault. But when
Right.
firefighters are standing there and saying there's not enough water in the fire hydrants.
That's true.
When Donald Trump asked for water to be pumped from Canada into the LA system and Gavin Newsom opposed that. When you're hearing about environmentalists compelling him to protect smelt and little fish and salmon at the expense of LA citizens, of California citizens, Kevin, I don't need much else than that. I just don't. Maybe you're nicer than me. Maybe I'm too cruel. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it.
If you walk down any street in the Palisades right now, you'd see that it is, I understand being sick of it. If that was my house, I'd be sleeping at theirs.
Well, Eric's house is gone. That's my buddy. I'll be there to see him this week. My heart's broken for him.
He will love to see you.
Yeah.
He will love to see
I'll
you
be
because his heart is broken right now.
Kev, love you, bro. Appreciate you, my man. Be safe.
Yeah.
Be safe, because I know you're out there
Yes.
reporting on this stuff, inhaling all that air. I hope you're wearing a mask and covering yourself to some degree, okay? Don't get sick on me.
Steve, I'm taking care of myself. Love you.
I disagree with Kevin on some of that, but all of his points are very, very valid, and I can't dismiss that. Before I go to commercial, I want to stay in politics, because that's what I consider the wildfire situation to have regressed to, politics. I want to stay right here in politics, where Donald Trump, once again, made history today. The president-elect was sentenced to a, quote, unconditional discharge, end quote, in a New York hush money case. This makes him the first president to have been sentenced for a criminal conviction once he's sworn into office on January 20th. The unconditional discharge allows Trump's conviction on 34 counts of falsifying business records to stand with no further penalties, such as jail time. The sentencing was allowed to proceed after the Supreme Court decided 5-4 yesterday to reject his request to drop the proceeding. The president-elect said he thought it was a, quote, fair decision, and referred to possible further appeals of the verdict. Trump did issue a quote, and he was basically calling it a witch hunt. Do we have that quote here? Here it is. This is the quote from the president-elect of the United States, due to be sworn in on January 20th, 2025. This is the quote from the president himself. The radical Democrats have lost another pathetic, un-American witch hunt. There was never, he said, witch hunt, there is no case. There was never a case. And this whole scam needs to be dismissed. The real jury, the American people, have spoken by re-electing me with an overwhelming mandate. Today's event was a despicable charade. And now that it is over, we will appeal this hoax, which has no merit, and restore the trust of Americans in our once great system of justice. The idiocy of some of the left never ceases to amaze me. He's not going to jail. You're not fining him, but you wanted to make a point of giving a sentence so his conviction would be on the record, refusing evidently to recognize the fact that that's probably what got him elected. You engaged in lawfare. You used the system to politicize it for your own means in going after him. We know this because of what you just did. The American people voted for him. He is going to be the president of the United States. And a judge who Trump has clapped back at in the past, along with his daughter, who worked for Democratic causes, decides that it's in the best interest of the American public to ensure, and to the world, mind you, to ensure that his conviction as a felon, his conviction as a felon, remains on the books. So it's important to you as the judge, and it's important to folks on the left, that the world knows our president is a convict. And you think that serves us as American people. Now, you'd have a point if he had lost the election. You'd have a point if it had kept him from running for re-election. But when both of those things have failed in very, very flagrant fashion, knowing that in less than 3 weeks, in less than 2 weeks, This man is about to be sworn in as the 47th president of the United States, and you're preoccupied with making sure he goes in as a convicted felon. It just shows that he was right all along when he accused you of politicizing it because you couldn't beat him in a fair election. That's all you did. You diminished your argument as liberals against him by prioritizing all of this pomp and circumstance, which absolutely at this moment in time means nothing. Not only is he going to be sworn in as the president of the United States, did y'all know that Trump, even as a convicted felon, is still allowed to vote? Other felons who can't vote, it depends on the state and it depends on their specific crimes. But he is still allowed to vote, according to my research, which I believe is on point. So he can still vote, he can still be the president, he can still pardon folks or grant clemency, he can still do all of these things come January 20th. And you, as a judge, felt it was important that everybody knows he's a convicted felon. And it's a matter of record. Wow. You just made his case for him, and you know what you did in the process in all likelihood? You assured that the Republicans win the midterms. And you're probably going to elect J.D. Vance as your next president of the United States in 2028. All they're going to do is lean on this to show how far you were willing to go to take him down. You idiots. Not all. Not talking about Democrats. I'm talking about the people who believe in that system. You idiots. You just gave the Republicans 4 more years. Dummies. Everyone right now needs to stop what they're doing and listen up and listen good. With all the big time sports action that's happening each and every day, NFL games, NBA games, and the college football playoffs, the Stephen A. Smith Show wants to make sure you are taking advantage of all of it. That's why we partnered with PrizePicks, the largest fantasy sports platform in all the land, to help you cash in on all your sports knowledge. You see, PrizePicks is a daily fantasy app where you pick 2 or more of your favorite players and then you select more or less on their projected stats for the game. Choose from any of your favorite players, Saquon Barkley, Jaylen Brown, and Steph Curry, all in the same entry. Then sit back, watch, and chill. The list is endless, y'all. And now with PrizePicks Flex Friday option, you can still cash out even if your lineup isn't perfect. That's right, every Friday, just look for the protected play. So win or your cash back. And get this, PrizePicks now offers MasterCard for quick and easy deposits into your account during this sports season. Make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your sports opinions into real money all season long on PrizePicks. So download the app today and use code SAS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, download the app and use code SAS to get $50 instantly after your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, run your game. Welcome back to the Stephen A. Smith Show right here over the digital airwaves of YouTube and, of course, iHeartRadio. I sound exhausted already, don't I? Don't I? That's because of what I know I'm about to deal with. He's made weekly appearances over the last few weeks. Y'all enjoy him. I don't know why, but I'm sure he has reasons to why you do. Nephewtism is what he calls this, as in my nephew, Josh. Welcome to the show again. What's up? Could you at least have the decency?
Put some energy in your voice when you the same way you be bringing out other people. Put some energy in your voice when you introduce me. Can I get a better?
Could you at least have the decency to sit up in the chair? Could you do that instead of?
I feel like I feel like I'm in the wrong chair once again.
We'll sit your ass right there. Then you ain't getting up in no damn chair. Josh Smith, look at that. Do you see that card? Do you see the card?
I came ready today.
Do you see that? The Josh Smith card. On the back of the card, it's supposed to say Stephen A. Smith. He shut out Stephen
Not on this show.
And put Josh. You see what I'm trying to say? You see what I got to deal with? That's very rude, you know. That's very rude.
So I'm not sure if it reflected yet, but a couple nights ago the Knicks won, and I was in a spot called Moods in Long Island, and I popped a bottle with the company card.
A bottle? A bottle of what? It better be a bottle of water.
Don Julio, I'm 36.
How much did that cost?
I don't even check. Once I'm using the card, it's just, I left a big tip too. Big tip, post.
Let's go with the tweets before we get on out of here. Show me the tweet, please. First tweet is up. what is that? At Time Captails, right, Stephen A. Smith? Who are your top 3 U.S. presidents of all time? Well, damn it, I don't know. I mean, hell, okay? I just don't know. I will tell you this, though. 2 of them, listen, Barack Obama, because he's a brother and he was class personified, and that's how I feel about him. And regardless of what the Republicans want to complain about, universal health care is universal health care. Now, I didn't get health care for everybody, but millions of Americans that didn't have health care, he helped pull that off, and I appreciate that. Plus, he gave Donald Trump a decent economy, so we got to remember that. Donald Trump didn't inherit a bad economy. So I look at those 2 things, number 1. Number 2, I'm going to think about Bill Clinton, but for reasons that you may not like. In 1994, when the Republicans took over the House, led by Newt Gingrich, fiscal responsibility ended up in Clinton departing with a surplus. We hadn't seen that from too many presidents in history. So I got to give credit where credit is due in regards to that, although Clinton did have a lot to do with the crime bill and incarcerating a whole bunch of black men. So I take that back, okay, which came back to haunt him when Hillary Clinton was running for office. I would tell you Ronald Reagan, all right, because I like the way Reagan governed, to be honest with you. So I'm going to go with Barack Obama. I'm going to go with Ronald Reagan. And I really, really don't know. I really don't know. It ain't gonna be Trump. It damn sure ain't gonna be Biden. Can't do George W. Bush. Abraham Lincoln, I mean, you know, didn't he eradicated slavery or contributed to the eradication of slavery? I got to do my research on that. I don't know, but I'm inclined to go that route. Those are my 3. I won't even ask you because you're too damn ignorant to know the answer to that question.
My 3.
What?
My 3 would be Barack Obama. 1, because this is all about relatability. Barack Obama, we know why.
Right.
Bill Clinton. Mm-hmm. Me and him could relate, different reasons.
Oh
and
my God.
Leon Rose.
Oh my God. Leon Rose?
Yeah.
For the Knicks.
Yeah.
We're talking about United States presidents.
No. Presidents that's in the United States, and Leon Rose is doing a great job. We going to the finals this year, baby.
Next tweet, please. At Nick Grantham 4L, right? Stephen A. Smith, would you rather be in Dallas when it snows or New York when there is a 100-degree heat wave? New York, because I can deal with the heat wave in New York and I'm familiar with its surroundings. I don't think Texas can handle a blizzard, snow, and all that. So I don't think it can handle that. That's my answer to that question. What's yours?
Well, that's easy. Would you rather see them in turtlenecks or bikinis?
Get the hell out of here. Last tweet. Give it to me. At _KMD, right? Stephen A. Smith, you take a dump, then shower, and your bathroom stinks while showering, or shower, then dump to avoid the smell. I take a dump, and then I take a shower.
I know.
I don't give a damn how it smells. At the end of the day, when I get in the shower and I'm washing off my filth and all of that stuff, the smell ain't gonna stay with me once I depart from the bathroom. So I took a shower, I bathed in the whole bit, and then after that, I get the hell up out of there. I'm not gonna take a shower and then stink up myself by taking a dump. It's the dump, then the shower, not the shower, then the dump. Your sorry ass probably takes a shower and then dump and walks around stinking the rest of the day.
Well, I know I don't want to smell Stephen A. after neither with all the Ozempic and vitamins he be popping between.
Ozempic? Really?
That's going
you
on.
wish.
That's
You wish, right? So I'm taking Ozempic now. I'm taking Ozempic now.
That's what rich people take.
That's what
rich people take.
You are absolutely right, though. Rich people do take that who don't go to the gym. People who do go to the gym don't need Ozempic. They work it off. You wouldn't know anything about that because work and you are oxymorons. They don't go together.
Me and Ozempic don't go together either.
I know, neither does it for me, baby. That's it for my episode of Nephewtism. You see what I got to deal with that? To my nephew Josh, to Kevin Frazier and the crew, thank y'all so much for joining. I hope y'all enjoyed the show. Have a wonderful weekend. I'll be back after playoff weekend. Take it easy. Peace and love.